Yes, people, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I wholeheartedly offer whatever suits your time zone, and I am happy to have Matt with me in the studio and also my brother VJ. Please do let me know if you can hear me. Let me stop the music. It looks like it was too loud. Matt, how you doing today, brother?
Yeah, doing well. I mean, just looking at the lineup now.
You're seeing it already?
Yeah, it's just come out now. It's quite an interesting lineup.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us what you're seeing. I'm not seeing it yet on the app that I use on the screen.
So it looks like it's still a 3-4-3. It's Kepa in goal, Rudiger, Silva, and Azpillicueta as centre backs. Alonso and Hudson-Odoi as wing backs. Kante and Jorginho in midfield, and then Mount, Ziyech, and Lukaku up front.
So Ziyech starts again.
Yeah.
I expected him to rest. What's his name? Kovacic. And I think Kovacic is not even on the bench, is he?
I didn't see him on the bench.
No, he's not even on the bench. Yeah, we can hear you crystal clear. I hope he's fine. So I'm going to try to see if we see the structure here. And again, Matt, welcome back to Chelsea Perspective. I think they've shared the lineup, and it's still 3 at the back. I'm really worried, but we'll come to that. Let me share my screen. Yeah, and this is it. And before I continue, I'd like to give these guys credit. I use their application for free, the Windows version. It's great. It makes the whole process seamless for me. They have the app. You can download it on Apple, on also Huawei products and Android also. So it's very, very seamless. They have lots of detailed statistics if that's what you're looking for. So looking at it, Matt, it's really 3-4-2-1, and I am kind of confused here why we're going back to that formation, because we've changed to 4 at the back, and when we did, the players all did very well, especially Ziyech. He looked at home. He looked as if that's the formation that suits him better. And even after the last game we played that 4 at the back formation, he made a statement saying something like, usually we play 5 at the back, but today we play 3 at the back. So today we played 4. So we have more players going forward. Matt, I'm starting with you. What do you think about this formation? Do you think it will work against Brighton?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to go to 4 at the back as well. I think looking at this, it's incredibly harsh for Malang Sarr, who has been dropped out, who played fantastic at Man City and has been fantastic in the last few games. I think it's really harsh for him to be dropped out, considering Azpillicueta has been poor for me for the last month, and looks like he is showing his age at the moment. I just don't know. I just don't like the fact because you're putting Hudson-Odoi out of position. Ziyech doesn't really suit it. Mount coming back in, that's fine. But again, Lukaku's been abysmal. I would have. I think for me, I would have rather have gone with the 4-2-2-2. I would have had Lukaku up top with someone like Havertz. You'd have Callum or Pulisic or Ziyech playing in a more natural position, and then you'd have Malang Sarr left back, which he can do okay. Azpillicueta will be more suited to the right back position than the wing back, and it would. I just think that would suit us better at the moment. Where obviously we see Brighton is matching us up. I just look at that left side and think Alonso is going to get torn apart by Lamptey again.
Yeah, Lamptey is back in the lineup. He was praying and hoping he'd be back for this game, and he's back. And I knew exactly when he made that comment. My thoughts just went straight to Marcos Alonso. I don't think he will get the protection we think he will get from Jorginho, because Jorginho himself isn't defensively sound. He needs protection from Kante to even do very well. So I'm really concerned. I'm going to come to you, VJ. What do you think overall about the lineup?
Okay, first of all, Chelsea Perspective, thank you for having me on the channel. Hope you're doing well.
Thanks to you, brother. More thanks to you.
All right. So, with respect to the lineup, looks pretty strong on the paper. If I'm to be honest, Rudiger, Silva, and Azpilicueta in the back. Kepa, of course, on the goal. One thing that he definitely has to mind is on the long shots. I'm not saying he's weak in the long shots, but he definitely have to improve because we are used to seeing Mendy now saving those long shots, and we're back to Kepa, where he fumbles a bit on that long shot. So something that we'd like to see from him is get those long shots issues sorted as quick as possible. Um, the midfield four, Kante, Jorginho, Alonso, if you want to call that, left wing back and right wing back, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Looks pacey on the attack, but I'm really concerned about the defensive work rate of both these players, especially coming across a Brighton team with Lamptey, who's got enormous pace to dictate that left wing or
And
their right
trickery.
wing, basically. And
And quick
Cucurella
feet
on the
too.
left.
Yeah,
Trickery and
Cucurella is
quick
a really
feet.
good player.
Cucurella is very quick as well. I'm not sure if Azpilicueta will be able to handle him, if I'm to be very honest with you. And Callum Hudson-Odoi has to really support on the defensive front for Cucurella. So I believe if there is something that is going to be a threat in this Brighton game, it's going to come from those wing backs on that side. And if I'm to be very honest with you, their wing backs look even more stronger than ours. But in the front, of course, we've got Lukaku, Mount, Ziyech. Ziyech, of course, is playing in the left flank. Usually plays on the right flank where he can, whip in balls for Lukaku. But he plays on the left flank this time. And to be honest with you, he's not that great when he comes from the left flank because it's he doesn't get that angle to shoot. Don't ask me if he got the angle from the right flank. He did not get that time as well. But then on the left flank, he's not that effective, is what I feel. But it's good to have Mount back. One time, of course, he was dropped for that City game. Maybe this is a game where Thomas Tuchel is thinking, you know what, it is high time that you start playing, and maybe we'd like to see his performance against Brighton. That's probably why he's playing today. Lukaku has to really step up his game. He's under tremendous pressure. There's a lot of external circumstances right now affecting Chelsea Football Club and Thomas Tuchel, and one of them is Romelu Lukaku. So he has to be very careful when he plays, and it's better for himself as well as if he can get those goals as quick as possible. But a very strong lineup to start with, and I'm happy with the lineup that we put in, but I'd like to really see the effort on the pitch.
Yeah, I think your argument makes sense. And before we continue, greetings and thanks to everybody in the chat, especially Blue Clouds TV. I know you have a stream scheduled, and thank you for finding time to participate. The queen of all streams herself, Straight Beer, Data, my good friend Just Viola, and everybody else in the chat. I appreciate you all, and thank you for providing great value to the stream. Now, coming to who's left out, I know you've talked about, I think you said something about it not being unfair, Malang Sarr being dropped he's not even on the bench.
I think I don't like slagging off Tuchel and that. I always back him, but I think it's a bit ridiculous. I thought he had one. He was probably arguably one man the match, and he's been in the round man the match for most of the games that we've played. Yet you drop him completely out of the team. It doesn't make sense, especially when you've got people like Azpi who haven't played well, either wing back or centre back. I get the I get the fact that he's a young player and Azpi is the captain. But when you're not playing well, sorry.
Yeah, which I understand. You got water close by, bro?
Get some water, bro.
Right. I'm all good.
Okay.
When you're not playing well, you can't just you've got to play the best players, especially when you're coming off a loss against a big team. The title race has been dented. You need to come back quick and fast, especially when you've got Tottenham at the weekend, because we can't go into Tottenham losing 2 games in a row. And I just think we've seen Rudiger play at the right side, so why not put Rudiger on the right side like you did at City and have Sarr on the left, because you have protection on both sides at least to some sort of extent. But both sides you're in trouble. Rudiger might be able to keep Lamptey at bay, but in terms of Cucurella, people really underestimate him he's a good left back, and as someone that I'd like to have as a backup to Chilwell, this guy would be one, because he's very good at the wing back role, and I think he's going to have Hudson-Odoi on his toast for dinner. Hudson-Odoi is going to get ruined.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Ask VJ. Ask him.
Could this be? I mean, this probably from my perspective, this is probably how I look at it, right? Could this be a rest for Malang Sarr because he's been playing for the last few games continuously, and we've got to play against Tottenham in the weekend, and it could be a good chance. Like we should have someone like Malang Sarr playing that game and not Alonso. The reason why I say that is because he has to come against Lucas Moura, and he is way quicker. If Lamptey is quicker, Lucas Moura is like even more quicker. So could that be a reason why he was dropped today? Maybe concern of his fitness, getting him ready for the Tottenham game?
Yeah, that's very possible. That's a good argument. But the issue is even if you're resting players, sometimes you can have them on the bench in case you need them. So my concern is he all right? Is you sure he hasn't contracted COVID-19? You get my question now. So that's a possibility, but hopefully that's not the case because he's not even on the bench. So that begs the question if he's all right at all. So, but that's, by the way, let's talk about Kai Havertz. I don't think the argument, I think at this point, the argument has gone beyond whether he's fit enough or not. I think he's fit enough. And I'd argue Ziyech in the last game didn't do well. So why not bring on Kai Havertz, who we know, he's not the quickest, but he's actually quick, but he's the slightest of spaces you give him on the pitch, he do some damage to the opponent. So why leave him on the bench? And that's like 4 games now. What's any ideas what's going on there?
I can only think of moderation.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Any of you can go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know. I mean, I find it a bit confusing, especially when Lukaku has been in the abysmal form that he has. And I thought Havertz played okay against Liverpool when he stepped in, but since then he hasn't really played at all. I mean, he's barely come off the bench. The only time he played left against Tottenham, which again he played very well. So yeah, I'm slightly confused, especially when you've got other players like Ziyech who were absolutely terrible against City, Lukaku terrible in the last 2 or 3 games. Mount normally always plays. He was obviously going to come back in, but yeah, I don't really understand why he's not in the lineup personally.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing to me because, like I mentioned before, the argument now, it wouldn't work to say he's not fully fit. He's rested out for a few games now, and I don't know why he's not starting. And I think he'd do better in this game than Lukaku. Maybe I don't know what he saw in training that made him decide to start. What's his name? Lukaku over Havertz. So I'm going to come to you, Stav. And by the way, my brother, what name should I go by? I don't want to call you Russian, but I don't know if that's what you prefer.
That's why I put it there.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that. Welcome to the stream, Russian Bot. Nice to have you around. I value your opinion. You don't look faces when you want to voice your opinion, so I appreciate you being here. I'll soon come to you. Staff, coming to you. What do you think about the lineup overall? Would you have done anything differently, or do you think this is the best we can go with at this point?
Well, I'm going to be controversial, so I'll let Russian Bot have the first say. Go on.
Oh, I should start with Russian. Yeah, if you want to be controversial, it doesn't matter. That's
I'll hold back.
He just wants to steal.
I'll let everyone have their say first.
Okay, Russian Bot says you want to steal his idea. Okay, we'll see. Okay, Russian Bot, you go ahead. What do you think about the lineup overall, or would you have done anything differently, including the positions of the players? If you have any concerns, let us know.
Yeah, I wanted Kante to be arrested for the Spurs game, and that's one. Second, I didn't want Lukaku to start. I want Havertz, Mount, and either Timo Werner or Cho. That was the ones that I wanted to start. But it's just opinion, so let's see Lukaku if he can score.
A good one indeed, and I'm with you on that one because I prefer fluidity over power, and especially Lukaku's form of late. I mean, I don't wish him bad. I hope he starts firing on all cylinders today. I will take it, but he's been abysmal, to put it that way. His body language, everything looked up. It doesn't look like he has that is the mental ability to deal with criticism and all that. The moment you start criticizing Lukaku, I think he starts faltering. It happened at United. Most especially, that's the most pronounced of all. When I started noticing his mental strength he's not that strong. He starts faltering the moment you start criticizing him. So, okay, Stav, coming to you, give us your opinion, start the fight, and let's go into it.
Okay. After the Man City game,
yes.
Tuchel basically criticised the front three, and
openly.
Openly, he criticised Lukaku by saying he's one of the attacking line. So basically, and then yesterday in the press conference, he said that he's not changing the system to suit Lukaku. So basically, what's the point of having a go at him twice and then picking him, especially if you're correct and he struggles with criticism? I would have preferred Werner.
So you agree that Lukaku struggles with criticism, right?
No, I didn't say that. What I said is,
do you correct, agree with that?
Not necessarily, no. But I think he's been highlighted. He's been in the spotlight quite a lot. Obviously, some of it was down to the interview, some of it's down to his form. But what I will say is, if you watched the Man City game and you watched Pep Guardiola after the game, right, and his comments and his assessment, he's made it obvious that he now knows. He now knows how we're going to play. He now knows how to counter the way we play. Right, the pressed us in. The pressed us into our own half. Okay, forcing Lukaku quite far back as well, because obviously you're going to be offside if their defence stands on the halfway line. He's got to go onside, hasn't he? Right, and we still try to play the ball out from the back. All this tippy tappy. How many times did we pass the ball back to Kepa? Right, how many times did Kepa play it short because he wanted to play out the back? I've still got this bugbear that I keep hearing Tuchel picks a team to counter the opposition and whoever the opposition play and pick, right? I'm not saying it. I'm just saying the one system, right? And for me,
in terms of personnel, you could say he switches up things in terms of personnel, but in terms of the system or formation, if you prefer, he's very stubborn.
Yeah, because the players are not there. The players are not there for the system, right? If you're playing Callum, right, as a wing back, right, whether it's right or left, right, you're taking risks. You're taking risks, especially when you've got two fullbacks from Brighton who've got pace and speed and can get forward and they're tricky, right? We're taking risks for no reason. We beat this team 2 seasons ago, well, last season under Lampard, right? Away, 3-1, playing with 4 at the back, right? And they're just consistently playing the 3, no matter who you have available, right? It's telegraphing to teams the way we're going to play it, and they prepare for it. It's pure and simple as that, right? I want him to be more.
Go ahead.
I want him to be more adaptable.
Yeah, I think I understand your point, and it doesn't look like that's happening. So the question to the panel right now, I mean, anybody can go ahead and talk about it. Tuchel at PSG sometimes is known to even play 3 different systems in a single game, or sometimes 2 in a single game. But at Chelsea, I don't know what happened, because I want us to talk about that before we start breaking down the structure of the formation and who started and who's not starting. So what happened? It does seem as if he's just stubborn right now. He's stuck with the 3 at the back. Even he switched probably because he was forced to. I don't think he really wanted to switch, or maybe you could argue he's experimenting to see if he has the personnel to switch up the system. What you guys think?
I just think too many of these players can't play in any system. I think out of the players we've got, this system, particularly the three at the back, and Tuchel wants to play the three at the back. This kind of suits the team in terms of the back three, the middle, that kind of first part of the spine. Which at the end of the day, I think that's how he wants to go, because if you're solid at the back, you're not going to lose too many games, which we haven't, apart from City, the 2 games at City and the West Ham game, and I think one more game, I think the Juventus game, we haven't really lost any games.
But too many draws ain't good enough.
But that's the thing, because we have got forwards that are just simply not suited to the system. But then some of them, I don't see what system they really suit. I just think we've got too many players that are not good enough, too many players that don't fit the system in the attack. And I think Tuchel's just looks and goes, well, I've got my hands tied here. I can't do too much more with the players that he's got. And that's where I always go back to, there needs to be change, because the board have brought a lot of these players in, not looked at how they're going to be played. They've gone, oh, this player looks good. This player's got a release clause. We'll bring him in, and hopefully the manager can sort it out, because I'm sure they can, because they're not football people. They're people who think about business. They're opportunistic. They'll get players.
But here's the thing, Matt. I understand your point, and I will let you finish. If you're arguing about the lack of the manager's ability to switch up the system comes down to the players, we've seen him switch up the system in 2 games. And the players were brilliant. It just seemed as everybody, all the players individually, they were all reborn. Everything, their passes, the link-up play, there was seamless connection from the defense to the midfield and to the attack. So I don't know. You sure the issue comes down to the personnel, the individuals?
I mean, the point I'd flip at you in terms of that is, one, it's Tottenham, a Tottenham team that has been very poor in terms of the fact that they're an absolute shambles. Kante doesn't know what to do with them. And even then, if you look at the goals we conceded, the first 2 were own goals by Tottenham, especially the second one. That wasn't at any point anything to do with us. The players were just playing it with each other and letting it in. And then the second one was a deflection. And even the third one, that was a corner. So it wasn't like the system created loads of goals for us. It just, we got through the game because Tottenham were incompetent. So against a Brighton, who are very tactically aware, that they're a very good team with Graham Potter, maybe Tuchel goes, well, the back 4 is not ready. Against Tottenham, it looks good because Tottenham are, as I said, a shambles.
That's really like Brighton,
deep. Maybe it's just not ready for Tottenham. And that's the problem at the moment. I think we have got to see it against a more competent team like Brighton, but I don't know whether Tuchel wants to risk it. For me, I think the league's gone anyway, so I don't see why you can't risk it, because I'd rather risk it now in these league games than risk it in a cup match and then get knocked out of the cup that we can actually win.
That is really a deep observation in terms of Tottenham being depleted or toothless, if you like. That was why it looked as if the formation worked very well. I'm going to come to you soon, VJ, but I'm coming to you, Russian Bot. What do you think about Tuchel's lack of, his refuse to switch up formations? But at PSG, at Dortmund, he's known to switch formations like this. Even within games, he can switch formation 2-3 times. What happened? Do you agree it comes down to the personnel, or do you agree it's just Tuchel being stubborn?
Was that for me or for?
Russian Bot. Yeah, RB.
Oh, Alex, that's for you.
We can hear you. We can hear you now.
Yeah, I said you tried to bait me into Jorginho's conversation because it looks like that's where we're heading. I think the guy is actually the reason why we're not switching and the reason why we're doing it. It's based on one player.
I'll take it forward.
So sorry, my phone is ringing.
No problem. Go ahead, bro.
I think it's one player. It depends on formation. If he's not in it, we need to play double 6. So that's why the reason we're playing the way we're playing, because of double 6 pivot.
Stav, I think you have a friend here. So your argument is it all comes down to the Jorginho alone. Is that what you're saying, Albi? Russian, but is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Look, I don't want to go in the Jorginho conversation. It is because Jorginho is for me he's the person that we build the team around. So when he's on the field, that it's really, really hard to break it, especially if he's even in the starting lineup. So I don't know. For me, it's you can't play. We play defensively awareness game because of him in a squad. So that's why the front is not as fluid. Is not. First of all, there's not enough personnel up front because we have to play 3 in the back.
Yes.
I don't know if so. It's that it is until Jorginho can play single 6 pivot, we cannot improve in a front. That's all. That's why.
Okay, let me ask you this before I go to VJ and Stav. How about without Jorginho, don't we have any other player that can come in and help us restructure the formation?
No, we don't have not a single 6 player over there. Not one.
I think
Kante can play alone. How about
single 6? Yeah, Kante is not single 6. Kante is horrible at single 6. Kante is always this. Kante doesn't have a. He's not proper 8. He's more than 8. He's
hybrid.
He's not. He's kind of hybrid, but Kante has on and off switch. He doesn't have middle. He's either on or either off. So when Kante is going, his demeanor is always progress the ball. He cannot sit. If he gets the ball, he tries to go forward. No matter what he does, Kante cannot do that. Same as Kovacic. He cannot just hold the ball and pass it sideways and a little bit forwards. The minute they get the ball, they start to go forward with it. And that's what single 6 can do. He can't go forward. He has to stay. Mm-hmm. But he obviously has to be physical. Because if he's single 6, he cannot pass himself out of it. That's why we have Kovacic on playing with him and Jorginho. That's how he gets out of the press. By passing to the another pivot player. If you move one player away from him and leave him as a single 6, he's gonna have to pass to Thiago SIlva and Rudiger. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
And if he's gonna be under pressure, he's just gonna be exposed. That's the whole thing. That's why we went for the defensive midfield in the first place. Last summer, we went for defensive midfield. But we decided not to because we got Saul. We thought that Saul can play, but Saul, everybody knows what happened to Saul.
Yeah, well, but I think he's doing well of late. He's done quite well. Let me phrase it that way, and he's beginning to look better. It looks like he's adapted to the physical aspect of the Premier League game. But Saul's case is, by the way, he has to do it consistently, like 3-4 games before we can say yes, he's arrived. There's no guarantee that if it's really arrived. Before we talk about the structure, quickly, Stav, do you agree with what Russian Bot said, that he thinks it all comes down to the players we have? They're not, should I say, let me phrase it this way, dynamic enough for us to switch up the system and play a different system?
Well, I'm not going to go all over the Jorginho stuff again, because you know that I totally agree with him. Right? What I want to do...
I know you have a partner in him in that case.
Well, he just said what I always do. He's just been
Yes,
slow.
I know.
Mm-hmm. And the other two with his get-out clause, right? If you haven't got the get-out clause, you're going backwards, right? Which is... So I don't really want to discuss him, right? Alex said it all there, right? I want to take up the comment from, what's his name? The previous guy, who's now showing his shirt instead of his face. I haven't spoken before. What's his name?
Alex.
He's on about Tottenham, right? Yeah, it's only Tottenham. He's on about it's only Tottenham, right? Has anybody taken a look at the league table lately? How many games have they lost under Kante? Despite having that team, that squad, right, of wasters, look at the league table, right, and look at how many games they lost before we play them. The fact is, it doesn't matter if they're own goals, because we're the ones pressurising them into the mistakes. We're the ones who are like getting into them, closing them down, not giving them the chance to clear. Right? Havertz, he had a shot. All right, he deflected in, but he had a shot. And the reason he was given the goal is because the shot was on target. The other one, right, from the corner, from Ziyech, right, if that ball goes past the Tottenham defender, Havertz is on the back post for the tap-in. You can't just like dismiss the goals because they were under so much intense pressure, right, that they made the mistakes. We forced the mistakes. You can't dismiss it, right? I spoke to you Sunday night, I think, right, via message, right? You know, I watched Ajax on Sunday, right? They played a 4-2, so that's still the 2 6s, right? And then 3-1 in front, which made 4 attacking players. On all 3 goals, right? They had 3 players in the box. They had the player who was crossing the ball, and the 2 6s were on the edge of the box. So they basically had 6 attacking players when they were in possession, right?
Yes,
and then the two who were sitting as a 6, right, will get back quickly. You use people who've got a bit of pace and recovery, right, and who are capable of bringing the ball out by themselves, not by looking for the get out clause, right? It is possible to play 4 at the back and still be solid, right? And Ajax started making substitutions in the second half. They're allowed 5 subs. So they started making substitutions and they stepped off the gas. But it was 3-0 at half-time, right? And they were carving open the chances. It's all very well. We had this discussion before the game on Saturday, right? And you asked me about the runners. Do I think Ziyech and Pulisic could be the runners? But the point is, right, he swapped them round. He took Ziyech to the left, and he's never going to get past Walker. He's never going to have the speed to get past Walker, is he? Right? What is the point?
No.
That's not a tactical change. And it's all very well saying that the 3 forwards, right, didn't do this or they didn't do that. But if you're going to continuously play out from the back, I felt sorry for Kepa because every time he got the ball, he had to play it short, right? The only time we really caused any problems is when he went long and he played the ball forward a couple of times, right? But we kept trying to play out the back. I'll tell you, anybody watch Pep Guardiola's interview after the game, right? And he sums it up perfectly, right? And it shows he now knows how to play against us. Right, to press us in.
Yeah,
right?
except if we make some changes. That is in terms of signing new players who are able to keep the ball no matter how the opposition presses. So I think
we did that. We did that against Tottenham, right? Let's not dismiss Tottenham, right? Because look, like I said, look at the league table. Look at their games before we played them, right? You have to give teams, the opposition, problems too. And if you're going to sit back and absorb and soak and play out from the back, and then you're going to play with two wing backs, right? Neither of Alonso's not good enough. He's not good enough. Simple as that, right?
Yeah.
And then
so go ahead if you're still talking. You're saying something.
Then you're playing Azpi on the other side, right? And he's not quick enough, right? And it's like we basically made it easy for them to pen us in. Right, and you can criticise the players if you want, right? But you can see some of them are getting frustrated because of the system. Change it. Don't play the same system every game. Change it occasionally.
Here's my argument. I understand where you're coming from, Stav. We can change it, and I agree we should try some other systems like we've done but although there's still argument like from Alex. From Matt, that it's not really the system. It all comes down to the players. You could argue, let's give it a shot and see how that works out And I'm seeing that somebody in the chat says Sarr and who was rested. I forgot the other name. But that's, by the way, we'll talk about the lineup because there aren't so much surprise in the defense. There aren't so much surprise in the midfield. We'll start from the front three. But before we come to that, Alex, I'll come to you soon. And Matt, VJ, what do you think about Tuchel's, should I call it stubbornness, or like his lack of willingness to switch up a system to at least try to keep the players happy? Because truly it does seem as if they're frustrated. It started with Lukaku somehow. Forget Lukaku, he's not been that great. The issue all comes down to him, if you ask me, but somehow he complained indirectly, saying something about the system. Ziyech says something about the system. What do you think, VJ?
Okay. First thing, I'd like to clarify one thing with respect to Thomas Tuchel. He's won us the Champions League. He's got us to a final in the Carabao Cup. He's got us to an FA Cup final. All right. He is someone who's been doing a splendid job for Chelsea Football Club. When we talk about the stubbornness of the manager, I'd like to actually take a step back and actually witness or actually try to understand what he's trying to do. The reason I say that is because I agree to Alex as well with respect to the Jorginho situation. With Jorginho, you can basically do only that. If you've got someone like Declan Rice, then you can just move around, things like that. You can probably work it out. But with respect to Jorginho, this is what you've got, right? And Kante and Kovacic, I think the way that they operate, they cannot be a stable, six. The reason why I say they cannot be a stable six is because they are too dynamic to be a stable six, if you know what I mean. So someone like a Tchouaméni, Rice, or anyone of that stature, if they come in, then that would probably be suited for us. But if you're playing with a double six, you're pretty much locked in. You don't have a system that you can keep rotating with. And all this starts about, just change the system, keep putting in a new system, and then we'll see how we adapt. I don't think so. A system is a single-day process. And given the current run of fixtures that we have in the January and December, I think even if Thomas Tuchel wanted to change the system, I don't think so. This is the right time for him to do that. There should be, a week break or a couple of week break for him to actually work out the system. And I don't think so right now, given the current situation that we are in the Premier League table, this is the right situation. And having said that, we don't have the personnel to play in the 3-4-3. And the argument is, if you don't have the personnel, why even play the system? I get it to an extent, and I respect that thought as well. We don't have the players right now to play in the system. But I think Thomas Tuchel is trying to develop something there. He's probably thinking there is something in that 3-4-3. There is something in that wing back that we can actually get from maybe Alonso, Kennedy, or anyone who comes in, right? I think he still is going to be sticking with this system for quite some time, and we'd see a lot more games in that. But one thing that I'd like to also mention is that these players complaining about the system and all that, you know what? Your job is to play, not come out in the media and slander the coach. Ziyech hasn't performed for the last 1.5, 2 years in the system or in the Premier League. You've got no rights to complain, mate. Sorry. The same goes for Lukaku. We won the Champions League without you. Why would we want to change the system for you? If you won
in that aspect, I agree. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you won the Champions League without you, which means that the manager is doing something right. Start getting adapted to that system. Right?
Here's my argument here. I understand. Here's my argument in terms of that Lukaku statement is that I think that's true. Nobody can change that. We won the Champions League without him. And if you ask me, I think I've said these like a million times. It just seems as if Lukaku has created more problems for us than he's able to solve. And he hasn't actually solved any. So, and if we're really blaming the system, Lukaku started well for his second stint at Chelsea. The first 2 games he played, he did quite well, and we thought, wow, this is going to be good for we're winning the league this season. And then he got injured, came back from the injury, contracted COVID, and everything has been down south ever since. So I don't think in Lukaku's case, we shouldn't be blaming the system, and we shouldn't be talking about building the team around him. If you build the team around him, if something happens to him, what do? Then we're done.
Exactly.
We should build a team and not build it. And that's, if you remember, we had the same issue with Eden Hazard. It was always about him, us winning games. When the Chiefs are down, he pulls a rabbit out of the hat and help us win again. And the moment he left, we've been in serious trouble. And that's why we signed so many players, some of which I'd argue we don't need. But go ahead, VJ.
Now, tell me one thing, with respect to all these players still arguing about the system, to an extent, I do understand Ziyech is probably not properly represented in that system, because the system suits more of or the system requires...
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah. The system requires more inside forwards than wingers, and Ziyech is a proper winger. I think we're not using him as a winger, and probably he is, a bit concerned about that. So to an extent, I get what Ziyech is trying to say, but I still stand by the point. You cannot come to the media and talk about these systems and stuff. But with respect to Pulisic and Lukaku, I don't get it. Like, Pulisic has almost played everywhere in that pitch. Every single where, like, except for the back three or the back four, he's played everywhere. You cannot basically come and say...
But I get your point. Go ahead, bro. That's hilarious. Go ahead.
You cannot come and say the system. I mean, I'm not getting time or getting the position to play in the system.
So I appreciate you. I appreciate you putting it that way. Go ahead, Stav. Go ahead, Stav. I'll come. Yeah, go ahead.
I got a question. When did Ziyech criticize the system?
No, he says not directly. Remember, I said that. He said something like, "We usually play 5 at the back, but today we played 4 at the back, so we have more people in the attacking area." I think that was after how well, and he was one of.
That's not a criticism. That's not a criticism.
No, I'm not saying. I didn't say he did that directly. That's a way of saying. That's a way of saying I prefer this system than the other system. He doesn't have to come out and say, clearly, I don't like the other system. I prefer this one. You get my point? I'm not saying he really criticized it. And believe me, I am with you, Stav. You know how much I love Ziyech. That you and I agreed on that.
Listen.
Yes.
Go on. Right, listen. Right, if a player, says that he felt more comfortable playing with more attackers, right? That's not criticizing the system, right? The other thing is, I'm really gonna take what's the word for it? I'm going to take issue here. Lukaku did not criticize the system, right? He did not criticize the system.
His statement is just as similar as that of Ziyech. He wasn't direct as saying it, but how the media spins it.
No, it's not.
He ended it by saying, but he's a professional, right?
No, let me finish, please. Right, I'm getting a bit tired of this narrative now. He went, right, the thing he did wrong was not asking the club's permission, and he got fined for that.
Yes.
Fair enough. I can understand. I'm happy with that, right? That he got told off and he got fined for not asking.
That's never okay in any way. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. He wanted, right, to thank the Inter Milan fans, and I'm going to say this now, right? He was a black man who went to a nationalist country where there's deep racism, and Inter Milan fans welcomed him and his family and accepted him, and he wanted to say thank you. Just like Eden Hazard said, one day he'll return to Chelsea, right, which might turn out to be even sooner than he planned or expected. That's what he said. He never said, right, that he wants to leave Chelsea now. As regards the system...
Every player says that.
Hang on. Hang on, right? With regards to system, he was asked a question, right? I saw the actual transcript, right?
Yes.
He was asked, how are you settling in? Right? He said, right, that the coach, he never mentioned Tuchel, right? He never criticised Tuchel. He said the coach wants to play a different way from the one I'm used to. And I am struggling a little bit, right? But as a professional, I'm going to work, right, at making it work and settling into the system. That's not.
We're saying the same thing, Stav. Remember my standpoint. When it happened, no, let me explain this. I remember this conversation isn't actually about Lukaku. We just talked about his performances. We never talked about his interview. We're just saying how he talked about that is like you phrased it. But the media knows how to twist it. But again, that's why according to this statement on the screen, he should have been more careful with his words, timing, and the fact that he did not keep Chelsea in confidence, in my opinion, period. That's it. That's what I'm saying. He left it in the way he said it, it's open to interpretation. If you're educated enough, if you're smart enough, if you read it, you understand he actually didn't mean he didn't like the system. You can see it that way. Somebody else would look at it and say, oh, he meant he doesn't like the system. So I'm with you on that one. We're just talking about his performance of late. And that's why I always like to have you. And I'm glad you brought it up so that we can, you stated the statement, you read the statement as clearly as he said it. But it's easy to interpret it, individuals to interpret it the way it sits them, the way to the level of their understanding. You know my stand on his issue after doing some research. At first, I was pissed, actually. But after going through the whole thing, I learned, okay, this might have been just, what was that phrase again? An innocent mistake or something like that. But then again, he's rich enough to have people to run his interview through them and say, how's this going to sound? So that he doesn't make such mistake.
He didn't even tell his advisors, did he?
Exactly.
Like,
so that was a big mistake. There's always something to learn from there. So, but I'll come to you again. I'll come to you again, Stav. Matt, are you still with us? So there's this statement from MCIG about Kovacic. I want Stav to also talk about it. It looks like Matt is not with us right now, but I'll start with you, VJ. What do you think about this statement by MCIG? It reads, I love Kova, but the City game showed his limits as a playmaker looking at his vertical passes. What do you think? Is this true, or do you think otherwise?
Firstly, MCIG, a very good supporter of most of the channels, Blue Lounge, mine.
He's everywhere. He's everywhere.
Big up to you, MCIG. And I'm going to read the statement now. I love Kova, but the City game showed his limits as a playmaker looking at his vertical passes. All right, this is how I'd put it, right? I think Pep Guardiola tried. I think Pep Guardiola actually figured out how we're actually playing. I agree with Stab on that.
No doubt.
What he had to basically do was lock Kovacic. That's it. The game was done. Stop Kovacic from dribbling. The game is done. And that's exactly what he did. He cut down Kovacic every single place wherever he was trying to go. He was pressed by 2 men, 3 men everywhere on the pitch. And another problem for us, I think, was probably a tactical mistake for the City game, at least, is that we should have gone with Jorginho and Kovacic or Jorginho and Kante or someone like that. Because for me, both of them are fluidic. And when you have both of them in the midfield, both of them are going to run. And both of them are going to be out of position most of the time. And when you have oppositions where Rodri, Gundogan, and all these people are operating, it's not going to work well in your favor. If Jorginho was in that particular pitch for that game, he would have stayed back. He would have made sure that the defense was at least taken care of. And these guys would have gotten that license to go front and then start attacking. What we did was we attacked with Kovacic and Kante. Both of them started running on either side, which means that now the midfield is clear for the Man City to dominate. MCIG, I get your point, but I don't think so. It was a limit in his game. I think it was more of Pep Guardiola figuring out what we were trying to do with Kovacic and locking that.
Yeah, I think you made a great point there. Even I was watching on a Man City stream pre-game show. They talked about Kovacic as the only player they fear. They were praying to have Jorginho on the pitch. That they understand if you pressure him too much, he loses the ball. And I think you're right. Man City have figured out how to play us, and we must switch system or change personnel to be able to do well against them. It wasn't, you could argue overall, it wasn't a dominant performance because here's my argument, VJ. I said before time, Man City, after the loss of the Champions League finals to us, they started preparing for every other game they would play against us. And every other game they played, all the games, subsequent games they played against us, it just seemed as if they know our players. They know the passing channels or passing lanes of every Chelsea player. The way they press us, it just seemed as if they were blocking the passing lanes. They know where Alonso is going to go. They know where Rudiger is going to go. And it worked to a T. So coming to you, Stav, because we have a few minutes to round off. We have just 5 minutes to round off. And I'm going to let you guys know the next pregame show, which is before the the pregame show for the Tottenham game, we're gonna do a giveaway on that day as usual, which is a Chelsea polo shirt or the cash equivalent if you live outside the United States or the United Kingdom. So coming to you, Stab, what do you think about this statement on the screen about Kovacic?
Well, it's correct, isn't it? Because he wasn't allowed to. Forget the passing. He is a runner, right? And he wasn't allowed to. And this goes back to what I said. Sometimes in certain games against certain teams, you've got to change it, right? And give them problems. He played into his hands again for the second time. Again, right? The game was exactly the same as it was at Stamford Bridge. We were pressed in, right? We couldn't get out. And it's pointless. You may as well just have 11 defenders and try and hold on for 0-0. Because you're never going to create enough chances, right? Unless you've got the wing-backs, that system's never going to work. And we haven't got them right now, right? If Chilwell was there and Reece James was there, fine, right? I'd be okay with the system. You remember, I've said to you more than once, right? You've got to, adapt to the players you have available. You have to play to the players' strengths.
To their strength.
If you ain't got those two wing-backs, it's pointless. You're shoehorning people into a position that they're neither used to nor they like, right? Just because they played it once in a blue moon, right, somewhere else, right? For me, right, quick one. The thing with Hazard, right? Even if we brought him back, yeah, and he was he went back to being the player he was. What's the point? What's the point? Because because the system's going to have him playing centrally, right? Playing down an alley. That's what we do with Pulisic. That's what we do with Callum. That's what we do with Ziyech, right? They all end up being central because you're trying to play fluid football from the midfield back to the midfield to the forwards, and then in the middle. And then even when your 2 6s or 1 6 pushes forward, or the wing backs, right? Get forward. You're condensing it inside, and teams that sit lower block, you can shoot from whatever you want, right? And it's twice as difficult to score a goal. If you watch them when they're having shooting practice in training, they hit the target every time. Because there's no one in front of them, right? So it's not about the shooting ability; it's about finding a way through with your shots, right? The most success we've had is when Callum has drifted out wide, right, and Ziyech drifted out wide, which allowed Chilwell and Reece to come inside. They were inverted wing backs, so they were getting in on goal, and that's why they were scoring goals, because they found themselves in the position slightly to the side of the centre of the thing, and when the wingers who are playing centrally go out wide, they take defenders with them and they open channels and things like that. For Lukaku, for Werner, for Havertz, whoever's there, right? Instead, we're playing the ball up through the middle, right? Right now, this is the way we are now, right? We're playing the ball through the middle, and we're trying to force the ball into the back of the net through a crowded centre, right? Get the ball out wide, right? Change the system until Reece James comes back, and then maybe you can go back to it, right?
Yeah, I think I agree. I agree with you. Why stubborn about it? Because if you don't have the personnel to execute the system, your preferred system, then change it.
Can I just say one last thing, right?
Yes, please.
When he arrived at Chelsea, right, the first interview he did, he said he had meetings with the staff down at the training ground, right, which would be the players, the coaching staff that were remaining from Lampard, right, and they would have told him, right, about the back four, that we conceded a lot of goals in the back four, right.
So he had to switch.
No, he didn't have to switch. What he had to do was, right, if he's such a great coach, he can organise that defence into a back four, right? What happened was he listened to the people at the training ground who were telling him what we were like under Lampard. Lampard didn't have a defensive bone in his body, not even as a player, right? Not even as a player, right? And because we won the Champions League, right, and we've got fourth just, right, and then we got to the Super Cup. I mean, I don't want to take too much notice of the Super Cup. Anyway,
yes. You know what,
right.
Stav? Let's make that one on, because we have just 5 minutes to go. I think we should talk about the system alone, and maybe on Blue Morning this coming Saturday, because we had to reschedule the last Saturday's Blue Morning because it was too close to the start of the our last game. So, Stav, just take a minute and tell us what kind of a game do you expect, and what do you think of the outcome of the game will be?
Oh, wait, 2-2.
2-2 draw.
2-2 draw.
Yeah. You and I are not friends anymore. You're scaring the heck out of me. JV, JV, how about you? What do you think? What kind of a game do you expect, and what do you think the outcome will be?
That was for me, right?
VJ, yeah. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, you said JV. I was like, who's JV?
Yeah.
All right. I think first thing I'd like to tell 3 things very quickly.
Yes.
First thing is,
yes,
I am someone like Pep Guardiola who overthinks. Okay, so I get it. He was actually preparing from the Champions League to do it. Okay,
yeah,
and he did that properly. So second thing that I wanted to tell was today, when you guys go watch the game, if Timo Werner and Christian Pulisic come on the pitch, please look at them when they dribble. They don't look at the players at all. They always look at the ball. They have to stop doing that. Please let me know if they do.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah.
That's the second thing. The third thing that I wanted to say was respect to score prediction. Of course, I think, I mean, as much as I want to say it's a Chelsea win, I think it's going to be a very, very difficult game. I'm going to go for a, don't hate me for this, I'm going to go for a Brighton win 2-1. Okay,
at least
I'm going to go for a Brighton win 2-1, as a sensitive person. Or someone from, as a tactical person. But as a Chelsea fan, I'd like to be the other way around. I prefer a Chelsea 2, Brighton 1 win.
But you're speaking for what you think will happen.
Yep.
All right. Okay, for me, I would say it will be Chelsea 4, Brighton 0. And if you guys get it right, $50 for your favorite charity organization. That's how I do it here. And if I get it right, I'll donate 50 to my own charity organization. So now, VJ, I don't know how much time we have, but I'll provide the complete information to your channel and Worldwide Chelsea also in the description section. And my apologies for leaving it so late because, well, the game will almost be starting in a minute. But I think people here, they see your name on the screen. But like I said, I will provide your complete information the moment the video is ready. I hope you're okay with that, brother.
No problem, buddy. No problem. All good.
Thank you very much. And to the guys in the chat, from Josh Viola to Steve Chelsea, Yomiyu Biene, if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel and smash that like button so you don't miss the next stream or whenever I upload a new video. MCIG, thank you very much. Almighty Blues FC, thank you, my brother. Blue Clouds TV, thank you, my brother. Glenn, every other person that found time to provide value to this stream, I thank you all, and hopefully we'll win this one. See you guys next time, and God bless you all. Cheers.